目を覚ましてみれば人里のただ中とは。さて、しこたま飲みすぎたか。森の懲りどもに化かされたか。意志を持つような熱気。霧に映し出される亡霊。住人の姿はなく、街はざらついた沈黙に包まれている。なるほど。これではもののけが招く隠れ里だ。鬼が徘徊するにはふさわしい舞台だろうが、断りもなく呼び出した代償は高くつくぞ。鬼を必要とする者は、その果てに鬼に食われるのが習わしだ。
Kouma Kishima is a mysterious man in Tsukihime. To this day, we still don't know much about him, or even if he is alive in the present day. What if I were to tell you that Kouma may be something like a myth for Tsukihime, or that he's a possible future of Shiki Tono, if nothing went wrong at the Tono mansion? Join me as we talk about the mythical half-demon man, Kouma Kishima.
ようこそ、古き鬼の末裔さん。あなたほどの大物が招きに応じてくれるなんて、パーティーの主催者として鼻が高いわ。
さて、怪病の類のようだが、俺と因縁があったのか。
あなたと？いいえ、残念ながら初対面よ。あなたは素敵な殿方だもの。一度でも会っていたら、決して手放さなかったでしょうし。
俺を呼びつけたのはそういう理由か。血生臭い護衛を欲しがっているようだな。
ええ、こう見えて敵が多いんだの。それで、どう？あなたは私のナイトになってくれるかしら。
お前が本物のお前であるのなら、話ぐらいは聞いてやるわな。写しみと語り合うほど酔ってはいない。他人の真似事はそこまでにしておく。
あら、私は内面まで完全に再現したコピーよ。ファイル名が違うだけなのに、二つ目だからって差別するの？
ああ、本物を語るのなら、人に選ばせるより先にやることがあるだろう。何しろ自分の問題だ。お前がお前と決着をつけた後なら、本物であろうと偽物であろうと、
生き残った方が本物というわけ。じゃああなたは、今そうしているあなたは、紛れもなくあなたでしょ？このまま消えてしまっていいの？
そうだな。少々惜しいが、一夜で消え去るのならそれも運命だろう。第一、お前と俺は合わない。雪と炎では、どちらかが食い尽くされるだけだろうに。
そう。なら試してみる？吸血鬼の真似事は趣味じゃないけど、あなたの血は美味しそうだし、私のものにならないのなら、ここで消えてしまいなさい。
Throughout history and legend, certain things have become myths, when in reality they are just exaggerated retelling of certain realities or unknown truths. If you are so familiar with the Fate series, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But to give an example, Elizabeth Bathory became the legendary mythical figure known as Camilla, who is a vampire or a succubus depending on who uses her. Elizabeth Bathory was known to bathe in the blood of her victim. This is a rumor. The rumor just made it seem like she used the blood of her victim to get better skin, using young maidens to keep her eternal youth, when in actuality she never did such a thing in the first place. In fact, she happened to be a young 14-year-old. The torture devices that Camilla was known to kill with? Well, there's a funny thing about that. See, some of the evidence shows that Elizabeth used these to treat people instead of torture them. So stuff like the Iron Maiden, etc., they were all mostly used for treating. Now, is this true or false? We don't know, but there is evidence that these torture devices can also lead to healing. Plus, is also that she was ahead of her time in a way. We find out a lot of stuff like poison and stuff can be used as medicine as time goes on and more research, especially acupuncture, which she probably was doing. Camilla's seductress angle comes from Elizabeth being a girl. Yes, I know that sounds really basic, but also how knowingly charming to others she was. And you may think, hey, what does just being a girl have to do with anything? Yeah, a lot of girls in history get a lot of their big achievements through history at first being called a seductress. And so a lot of people just always assume the way they got to their level of power is by seducing others. And this most likely is a lie, because she was once again 14 years old, but also because she was very intelligent. None of this is to defend anything that Elizabeth Bathory has done. However, there has been more evidence showing that she isn't the cruel mistress that people have plagued her to be for years, but actually more so, well, a person who was doing a lot of good for the country as well. There's nothing we can know fully for sure, but to demonize her at this point is kind of messed up until we get the full picture. The truth of what Elizabeth Bathory actually did is unknown and will never be known, because Elizabeth had a lot of enemies. Because, well, she was a high woman in power. And she also had some pockets with the king. So what about Kouma? Well, the bizarre thing about Kouma is he was raised the same way as Shiki. Most of their clan was killed by one man, raised by the Tono to be the personal supernatural weapon, and was taken care of by twin maids. Yet, doesn't some of this come off as bizarre? In a strange way, Kouma is Shiki's Camilla. If Shiki Nanaya never died, he would have been just like Kouma. But then, wouldn't that mean Kouma doesn't exist? Well, it's possible the only time we've seen the real Kouma is in Nanaya's flashback. And no one really knows about him, besides the Nanayas and the Tonos. In Melty Blood, all his appearances is acknowledged that he isn't the real thing. Though Type Luminous is dubious in that aspect. Heck, even funnier is that most of his moves are named after mythical creatures. In another strange way, Kouma ended up killing the Nanaya clans when the Nanayas were eventually set for self-destruction. It just so happened that Kouma happened to come at the time that Kere was going to retire. In all the Melty Blood games, whenever Shiki kills or beat Kouma, he always says that it has to be an illusion. There's no way you're the real deal. As if to present himself as, well, if you were the real deal, I would have been dead. Yet he doesn't know at all about his full capabilities. Plus, he saw the path to where he could see where Kere left a weak point on him. So there's that. Kouma is Tsukihime Boogeyman, but then who is the Kouma we know so far?
この人口過密の都市に吸血鬼とは物好きな怪物もいたものだ。俺には関わりのない手合いのようだが、この都市には幾ばくか縁がある。袖すり合うのも多少のというやつだ。3年間怪我なく過ごした以上、数日程度のただ働きはするさ。
At a young age, Kouma was kept to protect someone, but failed to beat the assassin Kere Nanaya. Kere, in their fight, took his eye and didn't kill him at the time, because he didn't find him worth it. He figured that Kouma would just give up after crushing his eye. Also, yes, in case you were wondering, Kere would have killed a child if they were supernatural in any way. That's a Nanaya's blood for you. Do not envy a Nanaya. Years later, Kouma was found and taken in by Makihisa Tono, raising him to become a supernatural weapon for the Tonos. Makihisa taught Kouma the bare minimum, not even teaching him how to speak or write. He had a maid only send him food and made sure they didn't talk to him. He was raised like an animal. Makihisa didn't even see the boy as a human. One day, Kouma was assigned a mission to eliminate the Nanayas by Makihisa. Despite the fact that Makihisa was hiring the Nanayas at the time for a long time as his own personal supernatural assassins. Makihisa claimed it was to protect his family in case someone else hired the Nanayas to take them down. However, knowing Makihisa's selfish paranoia, he would easily just, convince himself that anyone would take him down, especially even his family members. Kouma did as he was told and went after the Nanai clan. During his assignment, Kirei and Kouma fought once again, only for it to be a completely one-sided affair in Kouma's favor. All Kirei could do was leave a wound on his chest for one day for someone to follow up on it. In other words, he gave Kouma a weak point. Kouma didn't care much for the fight. Kirei, however, truly enjoyed fighting someone so strong. After killing Kirei, he went after the rest of the Naya clan, and none of them stood a chance. However, after killing everyone, Kouma was surprised to see one child remaining. Kouma couldn't help himself. He laughed, maybe because of the cruel irony, but we will never know. Kouma walked away laughing like a madman, never to be seen again. Kinda.
お前は木島コウマ。
あと数分で消え去るというのに出会うとはな。これも縁というやつか。トムの、いや、七やキリの息子。
さあな。俺は会いたくなんてなかった。いや、会わずに済めばそれでいいと思っていた。
では別れるか。おだがここでの出会いは本意ではあるまい。
遅い。あんた今口にしちゃいけない名前を口にした。それを聞いた以上引き下がることはできない。
骨は残っていたと見える。ならばここで父の後を継いでみるか。小僧。
Kouma shows up in Kagetsu Toya as Shiki's final enemy. In Shiki's mind, Kouma represents an absolute death, almost like a cancer in the brain. If the Nanaya in Kagetsu Toya represent Shiki's desire to die, Kouma represents the cruel end soon to take him. When Shiki beats Kouma in Kagetsu Toya, he mentions that this Kouma is a fake. That's the only reason why he beat him. That when he sees the real Kouma, that is when Shiki will die. In a way, it's Shiki taking claim of how he lives and dies. Shiki, in Kagetsu Toya is basically Shiki's analysis piece. He has to discover himself and discover what he loves and what he dislikes, as well as what's torturing him, as well as many other aspects of himself. Kagetsu Toya is a complicated piece. It's very much a mental illness game. If you want to learn more about that, check out my Nanaya analysis. But let's stop talking about Shiki for a bit. The real Kouma is a mountain man. Meanwhile, this Kouma acts as if he's a wandering Buddhist in Kagetsu Toya and Melty Blood. Constantly talking in proverbs, talking about real and copy, but despite what seems like existential dread, he's a happy man and is proud to have lived. The Kouma we see in Melty Blood and Kagetsu Toya is much more enlightened. Feels like he's not angry at the world, he's just enjoying what he can and tries his best to just do what he can to do. He knows that he's a monster, but he doesn't want to see himself as the one. He just wants to live as he can.
ひどいね。遊びとはいえ、ようやく得た相棒だったんだが。まあ、 あんたが相手じゃ無理もないか。
貴様は、七や桐の息子か。
ああ、そうだよ、紅石種。そっちは覚えちゃいないだろうが、俺は会いたくて仕方がなかったんだぜ。あんた、仙人みたいに山にこもっちまったからな。俺の方から探し出すこともできなかった。
ではどうする？出会ったからには親父の仇でも撃つか？
それ以外にすることなんざないだろう。ああ、けど勘違いしないでくれ。親父のことはどうでもいいんだ。単にさ、三度の飯より殺しが大好きなだけでね。ほら、お互い、そういう生き物だろ？
そのようだな。抜け出たつもりだったが、お前のような獣を招くようでは、まだまだ下脱はできぬらしい。
無理。あんたは一生地獄の鬼だ。鬼は鬼同士、遠慮なく憎み合って、未練なく共食いと行こうじゃないか。
So, what exactly is the takeaway from all this? Well, I do believe this was Nasu's attempt at writing his own boogeyman, / it's a pre-concept to alters and fate. But I also believe that coma is something everyone has in them. We will all die eventually, but we don't have to dread it. Instead, we should be like Shiki. Accept that death will eventually come and enjoy life for what it is. Even though fate can be cruel, it can also be, ironically, a better path through its cruelty. If Shiki was never attacked by Tono, he would never have ended up as he was. He would have ended up like Kouma. It's a blessing in disguise as a curse. In a way, we should look out for curses. Just like medicine, poison can be, well, something that cures us. It may hurt at first, but it can eventually help us. That's the takeaway I got from this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and take care.
惜しいな。お前の父は確実に俺の首を砕いたが、お前は肉を裂くにとどまった。もっとも、共食いが目的だったのなら、お前の勝ちでもあるのだが。生き残ったところで体が消えるのであれば、相打ちと変わりはない。あの怪病の言う通り、俺も一夜の夢に過ぎ。それが良いものであったか、悪いものであったかは、さて。まあ、愉快だったのは疑うべくもない。もし次があるのなら、うつし猫に例の一つでも言っておかなくてはね。